Welcome to Impact Makers Radio, featuring industry thought leaders sharing problem-solving insights to help grow your business and live the life you love. And here's your host, Stewart Andrew Alexander.
Hi and welcome to another Let's Talk Divorce conversation. And during this segment of the show, ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to have our guest today. She's so busy, but she has eventually found the time to come and speak with us. We have family law attorney Suzana Urukalo of the Kajko, Weisman and Colasanti law firm, all the way from the greater Boston area. Now, Suzana, who is considered to be an authority in the area of family law, will be talking to us today about a very interesting topic. Suzana's topic is divorce timeline, the good, the bad, before, during, and after. Now, this sounds like a really interesting topic. I've never had anybody speak about this topic, and I've interviewed maybe 70, 75 divorce professionals. So this is something new. So with that said, if you are one of the many people who are either facing divorce, you're thinking about it, considering it, in the middle of it, or have even experienced divorce, and you're in the greater Boston area, tuning in, wanting to know more about today's topic, you might just want to give yourself a break. Log out of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anything else you happen to be doing which may cause a distraction, and listen in to what Suzana has to share with us today. So that's it, folks. I've been speaking way too long. Let's get Suzana onto the show. Suzana, are you there? Welcome.
Thank you, Stuart. Hi, how are you?
Yes, I am great, Suzana. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. So let's just jump feet first in. The water is fine. Briefly, in your own words, Suzana, describe the kinds of people who you serve and the various types of situations they find themselves in when they come to you for your help.
Well, Stuart, as you mentioned, my firm is located in the greater Boston area in Lexington, Massachusetts. I am in the family courts, mainly. So my clients are dealing with either paternity actions, divorce actions, modifications or contempts, anything to do with children and the law and divorce and pre and post marriage conflicts and issues that might arise.
Okay, so now who you help, Suzana, it goes without saying that anything you share with us today is not legal advice or legal assistance. It's purely for the purpose of disseminating information. Can we both agree on that, Suzana?
We agree on that, Stuart.
Fantastic. So with that said, when you think about those people who come to you for your help, what's the most common misconception surrounding the topic of divorce timeline, the good, the bad, before, during, and after?
Well, the majority of divorce clients that I get are generally in either the pre-stages of divorce or once the divorce has been initiated by their spouse. So there are times, of course, that I get mid-case, but for purposes of our conversation today, when I first speak to somebody who is coming in who is either thinking about filing or has received a complaint served upon them and they are reacting to the filing, there is an automatic, if it is their first time of dealing with a divorce, there is a misconception of what they expect to happen, whether it's good or bad. And I'd say the most common thing is they come in and they say, this is basically a template. It's a formula. I know what's going to happen. I just need a lawyer. I'm already falling on my sword. I need a lawyer to basically sign the paperwork, get it done, and it's over. A lot of the times there's a traditional rule that is out there that people think that as of today, it is still that judges still will follow along with. And that is incorrect. And a lot of it has to do with, it doesn't matter who the attorney I have is, this is my fate, just get it done and seal it. The number one misconception, I would say, is the gender roles. If it is a traditional marriage with a man and a woman, it's often, well, I'm the breadwinner, therefore I'm only going to be able to see my kids every other weekend. I'm going to have to pay this amount. She's going to get the house, and I'm going to have nothing. If it's the woman who has been staying at home, then it's a matter of, okay, the house is in his name, the accounts are in his name, therefore I'm going to walk away with nothing. Both of those ideas are wrong, and they're common misconceptions, and it comes with the only way to follow through is to have an attorney who understands family law and is able to take you through the process as well as provide you with the information. Whether that means sometimes maybe today is not the appropriate time that you want to initiate an action. Or if you're the person who is being served, this is what you need to do in order to prepare. That way you have all of the information and you could devise a strategy and also make decisions based on that information.
Okay, thanks for sharing that with us, Suzana. Let's just, let's put that under the spotlight a little bit. Based on what you just shared with us, and obviously keeping your client's confidentiality in mind, please share an example or a case study, so to speak, of how you have helped or would help somebody who came to you or comes to you with those challenges, that misconception you just described, and what kind of transformational results you were able to or would be able to gain for them.
I had a case where I had represented the father. It was a divorce. It was midterm marriage. So these parties were married between 10 to 15 years. They had 2 children. He had worked full-time. He did not have a traditional schedule based on his occupation, and the mother had a part-time job. But she had, although she was qualified to do full-time hours, because the children were small, they were sharing in the work. Upon divorce, when he first initiates contact with me, his assumption is, here's what's going to happen. I know that I can only get every other weekend. I would like some time during the week. I would like to be able to see them at least for a week in the summer vacations. And he had it basically what I had said earlier, with that misconception that this is basically what I'm going to have as far as a relationship with my children go. So only after discussing with him, okay, what was during the marriage, what were your responsibilities? What were you doing with the children? What was your wife doing with the children? My explanation to him and what I wanted him to understand is, just because during the time you and your wife decided to have a partnership and share in these responsibilities, where you might have been more responsible on the financial end while she might have been more responsible at that time caregiving, does not mean that that will stay like that forever. It was a long case, I will say. It was a 2-year case, and unfortunately that did end up in a trial situation where we couldn't settle like 95% of cases you can. However, the outcome of that case was a joint shared custody parenting plan. That is something that is much more common these days, and I believe much more beneficial for the children, assuming that the facts are there. But it's something that people don't understand, that with the evolution of time and generations, it's actually a lot of judges would prefer to start in going, why can't this be a shared parenting plan, rather than you, because you've traditionally been the person who is the breadwinner and working Monday through Friday, maybe for 12 hours a day, you will continue to do that. It's the new normal. It's not what you've traditionally done in your marriage, but we have to see what the new normal will be, and roles will be changing, and your children don't have to suffer because of that.
Today's topic is divorce timeline, the good, the bad, before, during, and after. Now, Suzana, with that in mind, and for those people who are out there listening in right now and they're wanting to know more, could you please share one common but unknown pitfall that they need to be aware of, regardless of what situation they find themselves in?
If anybody is looking for somebody to represent them in a family law matter, specifically in a divorce matter, I think one of the most important things to do is to research the attorneys that you're looking out for and interview the attorneys. When an attorney states that they've been an attorney for 25 years, that shows that they're knowledgeable. However, what are they knowledgeable in? That's number one. You want to make sure that the attorney that you're dealing with is going to have experience in your kind of law, which would be family law. Just like if you're having brain surgery, you don't want an ER doctor performing the brain surgery. You want to have a doctor who is a brain surgeon doing that surgery. It's much like the same in law. And I think often what happens is, if it is the misconception we discussed earlier in this interview, where you do think, okay, I have no way to get anything else, I'll agree to this, this, and that, then typically if you end up with an attorney who goes, I only do this about 10% of the time, but this is, trust me, if you went to a judge, this is what they'd do, just sign these papers and you're all set. That is what you're going to get. What you want to do is make sure you're dealing with somebody who has the experience, who has dealt with a lot of different cases, who have used different strategies, and that way they could tailor your facts in your case to get closer to the goals that you have and be able to work for the list of what your priorities are, because every client has different priorities and what they want the outcome of their case to look like.
Right. So, Suzana, I'm kind of curious at this stage, because you've shared some great insights. May I ask, how many years have you been a practicing family law attorney?
For 11 years, I've been specializing in only family law. So, and before that, I had a couple years of real estate and bankruptcy.
Okay, so in those 11 years, would it be safe to say that you've helped scores of people in their family law cases?
Absolutely. I hope so.
Okay, great. So let me ask you this then. When you think about all of those people who you have helped, what have you personally got from that?
I think it depends on the client, and that's where I think it's important when you're interviewing an attorney to be able to know it's a chemistry that you have. Everybody's looking for something else, what they need, because everybody is different. So if I am in a situation where they come to me in a certain spot and they say, this is what I need, some people need more resources than others. If they're in a situation where they feel lost emotionally and financially, then my job is to make sure that I could provide them somebody to take care of their financial matters, whether it's an accountant or a tax specialist. If it's an emotional issue, then I will help them with finding a therapist. And if it's litigation, which I am best at, or mediation, which I'm also best at, then I am going to work on doing their PR and to make sure that they come out of this in the best light possible. And generally speaking, I think that you need to have a little bit of a discussion and check in after a couple weeks, every couple weeks if it's a busy case, to say, where are we? Are you happy? What do you like about what's happening? What do you not? Because what a client thinks coming in is not the same thing they're going to think 2 months after or 6 months after or right before trial a year later. So you have to make sure that you are changing your technique and strategy to match what your client's expectations are, as well as what their goals are.
Okay, so many clients with the equal amount of different situations, and it's clear that you've been able to create a transformation for all of these clients. But what do you personally get from the result, the end result that you're able to obtain for your clients?
I think what it is when you have a client that you know all of their vulnerabilities, then you start sharing a relationship of your own, which I then develop with them also, not just as their attorney, but a friend. And if I know that I have helped them and I know the difference between where they are today compared to where I first saw them and that they are in a better place, then that alone is what I get satisfaction out of, that I have left them in a spot better off than when I met them at.
Spend a brief moment telling us a little bit about your background then, Suzana, and especially in terms of your formal education and your experience as it relates to the topic of family law.
I'm originally from Canada, so I was born and raised there and went to undergrad in Canada and moved to Boston, Massachusetts for law school. During the time I was in law school, I always knew I wanted to go into family law. It was an area of the law that was most interesting to me, and I felt like I was able to be more creative in arguments rather than just some sort of code that I could punch in and some sort of formula. what your argument is very important, and the factors in each individual case play a major role in how you're going to strategize and how you're going to present the case. So during law school, I worked at the Greater Boston Legal Services in their divorce department, which solidified the fact that this indeed was something that I wanted to go into. And upon graduation, I got a little bit of background in real estate law and bankruptcy law. And for the last 11 years, I've been doing only family law and enjoying every moment of it.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I get a sense of this passion that you have. It certainly comes through as you've been speaking today. So with that said, when you think of your clients, the people who come to you for help, whether it's pre-divorce or they're reacting to a filing, as you said earlier, what final thoughts would you like to share with them before we finish up with our last question for today, Suzana?
I think I'm going to go back to what I think is the biggest pitfall, and I think that goes to, I would want everybody to make sure that they take their time and interview and go through and finding somebody who is a good match for them as far as representation.
Fantastic. So if there is somebody who feels they would want to know more after listening to you today, Suzana, what's the best way, let's say, what's the easiest way for them to connect with you?
My website is www.massfirm.com, and I could be reached on the phone, 781-860-9500, and my email address is surukalo@massfirm.com.
Okay, folks, that's all we have time for today. Once more, that was family law attorney Suzana Urukalo. Thank you so much for sharing so generously with us today, Suzana. You have certainly demonstrated that you are a true educator, advocate, and trustworthy advisor for your client's success. And I'd even say you're quite a nice lady too. Okay, so.
Well, thank you, Stewart. I appreciate the time and allowing me to speak to you. And I enjoyed it.
So welcome, Suzana. And I'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to you. Yes, to the listener. Thank you for joining us on this very insightful and informative discussion with one of the top family law attorneys in the Greater Boston area today. Again, just as a final reminder, her name is Suzana Urukalo. Make sure you do check her out, give her a call, visit her website, because I am sure that whatever you do after listening to Suzana today, we've only scraped the tip of the iceberg of the amount of insights that she could have shared. I'm sure you're going to be in a good place, so make sure you do reach out to her and give her that call. So that's it for today, folks. Again, my name is Stewart Andrew Alexander, and we'll be back shortly with some more leading family law professionals in this, our series of Let's Talk Divorce Conversations. So, until then, take care, have a great day, and we'll talk real soon.
Thank you for tuning in to Impact Makers Radio. To listen to all past, present and future industry thought leaders and trendsetters, visit us at impactmakersradio.com.